Be sure to make it sound like you're singing, though. There are lots of places where you make swells with your bow during a note, or places where you make breaks in the middle of the phrases. It wasn't this one, but just off the top of my head. Dum bum, ba da 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 da. You want to keep it going. You want to keep it going until the end of the phrase. Then you can breathe. Okay? And then that makes the few places where maybe you want to change that for one reason or another, like to make the phrase go on like a continued sentence, it makes it more effective. But if you've been stopping during the phrase or made a big swell during it, okay? So that's a matter of bow distribution, paying real close attention to what your bow is doing and listen, okay? It'll make it sound more like singing. The rigodon, nice, very fast tempo. Memory's very difficult in 3 places. And I think you know where those 3 places are. Yeah, you kind of got twisted on a couple of them today. How do you practice those? How have you practiced these? Okay. You need a bigger box of tools than just slowly. Slowly is about the best one to start with. Okay. Still made some stumbles happen. Can we think of some more tools? You guys, how could you practice a pass? This is a passage, right? The whole movement is a passage. How about with rhythms? These are groups of 4 notes. Can you think of a rhythm that would go with 4 notes? Da 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 da. It's very difficult. Very difficult. You'll need your music. But what it will do is it will bring all of these, what I'm sure at home were almost mistakes, but not quite. It'll bring them to the surface. You can figure it out, and you can solve them, and then it's just more manageable when you go to play it at the straight 16ths, okay? So overlearn it, mess it up in different ways, solve them, and then they usually are really dependable in a performance, okay? When you have fast string crossings, don't get stuck in the top half of the bow. You had a couple times where the tail was wagging the dog and your whole arm is going like that. Go down to the lower part of the bow. Because string crossings, when you're up here, that's a big string crossing to get from A to D. If you're here, it's not so big. And it's easier to manage fast, okay? So soften up that wrist, soften up your fingers, and don't get stuck at the top. And then it makes it easier.
Well, no, it's great to hear you. You've done a lot of work since you were in STO, and the rigodon is really, your left hand is flying along nicely. I think that when you did stumble, there may be a couple of reasons. One is the dynamic. You would play something forte and then play it the same thing piano.
Yeah.
So your technique when you play piano isn't articulate enough, so that it gets unclear, and so you get kind of mixed up in which note you're on. And so I would say, think about how you approach the violin when you're playing piano. Probably smaller bows, maybe a different sounding point. But I mean, some might say you go soft in the head too, but you're not. You have to concentrate like crazy to play the same thing again, just with a different technique. So you can challenge yourself that you play it the forte and the piano and make it sound just as good in the piano, so that you're ready for it and you don't spoil it for the audience. So that's one sort of thing that kind of created a stumble. The other places that you stumble are where it's new material compared to what you've already played. In other words, like A section and then B section. The beginnings of those new sections, it's like you're not quite ready for them. So I would practice the first 8 notes of the new. Do you know what I mean by a new section? I don't mean like the double bar. I mean like in the first section between the beginning and the double bar, it starts to sound like it's going to start all over again, but it changes. I don't remember the specific note, whether it's an F natural or not, but where the change is, maybe do that 5 times in a row, so that you're ready for it. And it happens in the second half a couple times too. So you do those little potholes, pave them over, make them smooth, so that they're not a big deal for you. They're a big deal for the audience. That's what you want. You want to surprise the audience with that turn. Yeah. So just a little bit of preparation. fantastic playing, really good.